And I do want to transition this straight into the topic about that, that higher version of ourself, followed immediately by the question of, if you were to define what is that higher version of self, but if you were to define that, how would that be?
So I refer to that space with myself as higher self, but I also feel that it's the God space, whatever God represents for people. Everybody has different language and different ways of thinking about it. But I oftentimes, I've had various experiences. Like my undergrad experience was at a Jesuit school. And people are like, "Oh, are you Catholic?" I mean, no. And I wasn't raised Catholic either. But at that time in my life, I was really pushing against a lot of the religious teachings that I had heard and understood. And Catholicism always came up as kind of, the redheaded stepchild in the corner. And it was like, "Oh my God, I'm a recovering Catholic, or I'm a this, or I'm a that," with Catholicism. And I thought, I could sit here and judge something I've never experienced.
Sure.
Or I can go and experience it for myself. And that's partially why I went to the school I went to, and they had a study abroad program full year for junior year. And I really wanted to do that. But honestly, it was to immerse myself in being surrounded around that. And again, judge for myself, find out for myself what that was to me. And then we would get into, meaning me and my friends who were Catholic. I think I was like 1 out of 5 people who weren't Catholic in the whole school. But, we would get into these discussions, and I would ask, well, I'm curious, why do you look at it that way? I mean, I'm not questioning you. I'm really curious. And what I found was, there wasn't a lot of thought. There was just acceptance, right? This is just the way it is. And very few people could actually, explain it to me, their own buy-in. And I thought that was the beginning of me kind of playing around with this idea of, well, what do I believe? And where did those beliefs come from? And have I put my stamp of approval on them, or am I just absorbing them because my environment is telling me that's the way it is? And so I think that for me, I mean, I do think of it as higher self. At least that's the language I use. But I believe to go up, I must go in. Right. So my delivery point or portal to God is in, right? He speaks to me interiorly, right? Sometimes exteriorly, you get the signs and signals and people popping up in your life and opportunities, right?
Sure.
But the real speak, right? The real resonant points that lead me like breadcrumbs to that whatever answer to that question, or a thing that maybe I'm even resistant to recognizing and acknowledging, has always come from my inner voice, right? And I recognize that as kind of the higher power or higher self. And being more in alignment with that. I believe that kind of that's a trend right now that we're all collectively, from a human standpoint, going through. Is it's not just balance in life anymore, it's alignment. And what am I judging alignment to? Is it alignment to how I was raised? Is it alignment to, my husband's beliefs, or my friend's beliefs, or my parents' beliefs, or is it alignment to something else? And if that's the case, what is that else, right? That I'm trying to align to? And many of us have not been conditioned to be, have not been in a conditioned environment that's raised us to think, first of all, and ask those questions. And second of all, have language to be able to even come up with a definition of what that is. So a lot of my work, though I don't necessarily speak to it directly in that way, it is definitely that, who are you as a leader, but it isn't leader as title. It's leader of your life, and who's leading that life.